Okay, folks, guess what? There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now, of course, right, especially when it comes to the financial market. So here to give you a market outlook for the rest of the year, this is good. Certified financial planner professional and your financial quarterback, Jim Lineweaver, joins us. And also joining us, the head of his investment committee, one of 3 chartered financial analysts on the team. It's a good team, Jerry Herman. Great to have you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, so we're sitting here talking about, you know, what's going to happen in the future, what's going to happen in the past. Let's talk about, like, what's sort of happened this year.
Yeah, well, so far year to date, the market's done well. So through the end of August, we're up over 20%, and historically, that's about 50% above the normal averages.
So that's doing pretty good. So how do you see it going the rest of the year?
Well, David, I think there's a couple of key things to think about. Number one is the economic restart. Secondly, it's what the Fed's going to do with regard to interest rates, and finally, inflation. So with regard to the restart, there's a lot of concern about the Delta variant, but as of today, about 70% of adults have been vaccinated, and they're flush with savings. In March, the savings rate was actually 27%, so there's significant wherewithal to spend. And the economic stimulus was huge. It was 25% of GDP. So you're seeing rising corporate earnings expectations as a reflection of a strengthening economy. And we see GDP growing 6.5% to maybe 7% this year.
You know, it's really something, because everyone, you hear so much gloom and doom, and there has been an awful lot of it, you know, disappointment, that sort of thing. But the money's been hanging in there pretty decent. And I see a lot of people talk about some savings and stuff. People want to turn that into a house, or maybe fix their house, or do something like that. So all of a sudden we're talking about interest rates and that sort of thing. So what's the Fed going to do about that?
Well, if we look really at interest rates, even at the beginning of the year, we were at 0.94%, or less than 1% on the 10-year Treasury. And then all of a sudden in March, it spiked all the way up to 1.75, but we're down about 1.35. So I would say we're going to gradually see interest rates increase, you know, over the next couple of years. Well, we won't really see anything initiated by the Fed until the second half of next year or the beginning of 2023.
So you're sitting around, you make a prediction on that, you feel like interest rates are going to rise, maybe they're not. I mean, you almost don't know quite what to do. So what do you think the Fed will do?
Well, the Fed's going to stay the course. They've indicated what they plan on doing. But the other key component here is inflation rates. So inflation can really eat into retirement savings. So if you look at the inflation rate in June and July, it was actually 5.4%. That's well above the historic average. And the gap between interest rates and inflation rates is the widest it's been since 1980. So as a bond investor, if you're looking at treasuries at 1.3 or 1.4%, corporate bonds yielding 2.4%, if the inflation rate is 5.4%, you're actually eroding your purchasing power, and a bond investor can get hurt by that. Equities are actually a better hedge against inflation, but they're risky and they're not all created equal. And interestingly, a recent survey or study by BlackRock indicated that investors are mostly under-allocated inflation fighters in their portfolios.
So you said a lot of things that told me I need someone that knows what they're doing, because it gets pretty crazy. And, you know, and people talking about, you know, changing administration, so we're talking about maybe a different tax structure. And that really affects you, too, when you start taking money out of your IRA and that sort of thing.
It really does, and that's why, you know, as you know, with the financial quarterback, what we do is we coordinate all the financial, tax, legal, and insurance. And tax is a big part of that, because it's one thing to make it, but it's another thing to keep it. And that's why it's so important to combine everything together.
Yeah, if you find a way to make an extra 1.5%, but then they find a way to take an extra 2.5% away,
you're going backwards.
Yeah, you need a team. You need a team to go out there and help you, and these are the guys that help you. So if you have questions about your portfolio and you want to prepare for rising inflation, call Jim and Jerry and their whole team, and they'll help you out. And don't miss the Financial Quarterback leading into News Sunday with Chris Wallace. That's on each week, so you can always get some new information. And the good thing about getting new information is it changes. The information changes all the time, so you have to make those adjustments. It's almost like when you play football, you go in the huddle.
Right.
Let's get this together.
You got to be proactive, not reactive, and that's the key.
I'm trying to learn.
You're doing a good job.
Thanks a lot, guys.